here.
Yeah, you know, when I look at Tesla, I see visions of Apple 2011. I think the valuation is really rich. It's what, 40% of the value of GM and Ford, and puts out what, 7,000 cars in a quarter. How long does it take Ford and GM to put out 7,000 cars? So, you know, and it's also a big regulatory concern long term. Are they going to be able to keep these environmental credits that really produce all the profit and loss on those cars? So when I look at Tesla, I get really nervous, especially at these valuations.
You can't compare it to General Motors, though. And, Mark, I know that you know this because they are two totally different companies. One is certainly a high-end luxury vehicle. They're trying to make it more mainstream. But people come on and they try and compare it to General Motors. It's just not going to happen. One's been in business for 10 years. The other's been in business for 100.
But that's really the question, though.
Right.
And as they promise into the future, Todd, the question is whether they can produce a mass production car like GM or like Ford does. Now, they have promised that the Generation 3 platform, which will allow for a $35,000 car, that is much more mainstream. And, of course, that would require this infrastructure of charging stations, which they have been working on. Do you think, based on what they have planned for that general interest car, that $35,000 car, that the stock value is worth it at this price? It's up 450% over the past 12 months.
You know, I think at this level, it may be a little bit pricey. I'm in a little bit of agreement with Mark here. However, if they can deliver everything that they say they can deliver, they do have some great potential. They have some great ideas, but they have to come back to the public. They have to come back with a better priced automobile that more people can participate in, and they really have to ramp up the production. That is the real concern here. When the California tax credits do run out, how are they going to ramp up production and deliver? You know, it always goes back to the same thing. How are they going to grow, and how are they going to deliver all these cars? But if he doesn't,
they're doing it. And here are the Q4 Model S delivery numbers, 6,892, and they're coming up with the total number, what they expect to deliver for Model S. This is, of course, the one that's out there that's very popular right now. They expect a 55% increase over 2013 with an expectation to deliver, David, 35,000 Model S vehicles.
They have 6,892. The estimate was for 6,900, so they were right in line, basically, with those estimates. And again, they have that Model X crossover SUV coming out either at the end of this year or the beginning of 2015. But again, one of the things that I'm wondering about, and I'll go to Randy for this, is carbon credits. Of course, a lot of the income that they've received, or the revenue stream that they have been receiving over the past couple of years, are from California in those carbon, essentially what amounts to carbon credits. They call them exhaustion credits or whatnot. But that's the key. Can they make it without government assistance? What do you think?
Eventually, they'll be able to make without government assistance. I think what we're talking about here is being able to ramp up the production capabilities, drive down the prices, and then be able to, produce the profits based on what they're making instead of these, credits that they're getting for being an electronic car.
Well, as we move on, because we're going to be talking much more about this with a top Tesla analyst, right now the bid for the stock, $206. The last trade in the regular session, $193 and change. Randy, let's continue with this discussion and find out how you see the markets at the moment. We had an interesting trade today. You could possibly throw it out because of the Fed minutes and things that Dennis Lockhart of the Atlanta Fed said. But looking ahead, we did get some weak housing data. What do you seize upon at this moment, optimism or pessimism about stocks?
Basically optimistic. I think what you have to think about is the United States going to start to lift off in terms of its economic activity? As the United States starts to speed up, the rest of the world will then follow along and speed up as well. So you're looking really for the United States to speed up. So therefore, you want to probably be invested in the United States for the most part. Stay away from your emerging markets until the taper is over with, that sort of thing. But pretty optimistic on 2014. It's not going to be a year like last year where the market just went straight up and you didn't have pullbacks.
All right, Todd, we had a pullback in January, about 5 or 6%. We've had a comeback since the pullback. Where do we go from here?
I think we go lower. I think that the top level here, we reached almost the 1850 level in the S&P today. I think that the market continues to work its way lower.
Hold on a second. I want to press in here. You say we go lower. We go lower from the January low or lower from right here?
I think we go lower from here and the January low. I think before the year is out, we trade somewhere between 1560 and 1660 in the S&P.
Wow.
Well, Mark, Sebastian, do you see it that way? And are you that I guess, expectative of what might happen as far as a correction is concerned.
I'm not sure I'm as aggressive as Todd, but, I want to talk about what happened in this last rally. The last time we got up to about the 1840 level, we saw the VIX trade down about 12.5, which was the lowest level since 2000, one of the lowest levels since 2007. On this secondary rally, this snapback rally, which was strong and fast, the VIX this morning with us basically right on top of the all-time highs in the S&Ps, trading 14.5. From there, we sell off 12 handles. The VIX is now near 16 points. That shows you how tumultuous this market is right now and how uncertain of itself the market is.
Well,
so
let me just end up with Randy
trade,
here. Randy, with all of this volatility that you have to admit we've seen over the past month and a half or so, would you buy into the next dip, or would you buy in now? Are you going to wait until we have another dip, or are you going to buy in right now?
I think you can start to put money to work here. And I think the market is going to have its pullbacks this year, but you want to buy those pullbacks. You don't want to be panicking and selling those pullbacks.
Where
or worrying.
Specifically, Randy? Where would you buy in right here?
Specifically, what you want to be looking at is your biotech stocks. You want to be looking at your airlines and your multimedia stocks. This has been a three-headed monster that's just been killing it in the market for the past year or more. And that's actually a pretty encouraging bullish sign, is that trends that start to move actually are able to continue to move up as time marches on. In the recession times during 2008, 9, and 10, we were trendless. There was no trend that you could jump on and say, oh, wow, these stocks are doing really well. Yeah. These companies are growing earnings. These companies are growing revenue. It just wasn't happening. But now you're starting to see various segments of the market that are picking up steam, that are starting to grow, and the trends are lasting longer. You can observe the trend, you can see the trend, you can jump on board the trend, and you can make money.
I wish you